The Southwest has no problem with the North, basically. But what I see is that the North, especially some of the criminal elements among them, have continually shown, that they do not want to integrate. They want to come here, own the land. Look at Sabo. There are certain things you can't do in Sabo. There are things you can't do in some places in Ojoo because some people are there. So there is no matter of healing from the past here. This is a matter of exerting your own authority.
I'm Oluwayomi Adelako, and this is the big story. Joining me this morning is Sam Woko, Deputy Editor with the Nigerian Tribune. And together we'll examine the Ibadan clash. What lessons can be learned for peaceful coexistence? Welcome aboard this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Exactly. So before I turn to you, with the questions, I would love us to watch a video. I think a man said quite a number of things that I would love us to put in perspective this morning for this particular discussion. Let's take a look at the video.
Somebody just came suddenly, slapped him, stabbed him until the guy dead.
Okay, so you are saying that he came to collect money from POS?
Yes. So the money was, the network was bad. So he has already collected the money and disbursed the money to the person he wanted to give it to. So he was not telling them that he can't show that this is my Marua here, and this is the key to my Marua, this is my phone. I have it, this is my phone. I have everything. That I'm not running. But they didn't listen to him. They started beating him, stabbed him until death. The guy has died since yesterday. They didn't even rush him to hospital. They went and dumped him somewhere else before people rushed him down to hospital. After rushing him down to hospital, before getting to hospital, the guy has died. Has died. He's dead. This money. So when Yoruba boys now moved down there, that when people came down, that why? To know what is really going on. The next thing, we just see those people, those guys from other side. They just rushed down there and started fighting us. Before we know, there is a man. He called himself a policeman or maybe soldier. He was with AK-47. Everybody was carrying. He was jalabia, blue jalabia. So everybody was carrying because of the gun with him. So he wasn't between. He was in between Yoruba and Hausas. So he now went to those Hausas that they should chase Yoruba away. Immediately, the guy called general among those Hausas bring out gun and started shooting. Yes, and started shooting. On his way shooting, he has killed a young boy that went to buy Indomie. The guy has died. And when he was shooting, a lot of people were armed. They are in hospital now.
What do you want? What do you want?
We want justice. We don't want them again there. We don't want them again there. Even me myself, see what they use. They wanted to use to wound me. Even they come next me here. They put that next me.
We really know the police, the soldiers, the civil defense, they know the place we are talking about. This is the hill we are talking about. That place is hard out of bandits. They are corrupt. They are corrupt. This is their foundation now. This place is the...
I welcome you back from that video. Mr. Samuko, this is my first question to you because people are asking, how come a POS transaction and then the disagreement led to the death of 2 people? And then people are asking, is it that other things have been happening in that environment that were not addressed?
Thank you. Once again, good morning, viewer. One of the things I would like to point out is that a lot had been happening in that place without the knowledge of many people. And from some of the things they are pointing out, it tells you the enormity of what I'm saying, the freedom some people enjoy in that environment. Now, the POS transaction which triggered this also carries with it some problems. The problem of infrastructure. If the network wasn't bad, we wouldn't have known about this. It should have just come. Of course, millions of transactions take place every day, and what it means is that this one bad transaction is a pointer to the fact that sometimes the network, the network infrastructure isn't good enough to do what it was installed to do. Now, the bad network infrastructure has claimed 2 lives because it is what triggered this. The second one of it is that hill, all of them keep pointing at, looks like an ungoverned space, or it is governed by some non-state actors which are more powerful than the government. And we need the government to let us know if this is true or not, because the deputy governor was there yesterday, and I'm sure he must have also heard about the hill, the so-called Orioke, the hill. They keep pointing at where they said the guns emanated from. Okay. If you consider those 2 issues, you know that over the time, that area has remained the way it is, and there is a barracks nearby, the cantonment, Odogbo cantonment in Ojoo, and so on and so forth. So it's very, very easy for you to say, okay, but a soldier cannot dress the way they are describing there and carrying a gun. If you are not armed, if you are not kitted as a soldier, you don't carry your arms, except if you are an orderly to someone and you have to dress in disguise, kind of you dress down, but you'll be clandestinely armed. So no soldier will wear a flowing gown, a mufti, and be carrying guns about. Soldiers are better than that. So a whole lot of issues to unpack in the incident that happened in Ojoo yesterday. And it's unfortunate that 2 people have lost their lives. May God rest their souls. And as it is now, a very strong action needs to be taken by the state and perhaps the federal government. Okay,
speaking about the guns, beyond the those who said, oh, maybe some policemen or some soldiers carried guns, the resident also alleged that some of these Hausa settlers also carried guns, AK-47, not even pump action, and the police officers were looking at them and did nothing.
Again, that is a pointer to the fact that in that place is a clique that is beyond the control of the government, and something drastic needs to be done about it. I also know that some people had suggested the mobile treatment for that place, clear the place like you cleared Mobile and so on and so forth. But we know that each time government steps into that place, definitely they will regroup again and come back. Some have even said they are illegal miners and that they are very, very powerful. They have connections high up there and so on and so forth. And that some very powerful Nigerians are, they have mines which those people help them to manage and so on. All these need to be thrown open so that people will know exactly what is happening there and if that place indeed is governed by the state government. It's something many Nigerians, especially those in Oyo State and particularly in Ibadan, would like to know, would like the government to point to, would like the government to explain properly so that everybody will understand what is going on there, and also explain the presence of that amount of guns in the hands of non-state actors. It's very, very important because there is an urgency to it given the security situation in the country.
Okay, some people have also alleged that beyond the Hausa settlers, there were people from other countries like Mali, like Niger, in that environment.
Those are the ones we learned are in charge of the solid minerals mining. And you and I, maybe you don't know, but I want to believe that you know that they have been there for a long number of years. They are not new in that environment. A whole lot of times they have been, pointed at. I saw a few of them sometime. There was a time I worked as a secretary to an estate agent, a very popular one in Ibadan. And when some of them come to, rent apartments and so on, when you ask them what they do, they will tell you that they are miners and that they live in so place and so they needed a house in a certain vicinity and they dominate that place. They are very territorial. So those among them who are not from this country, they are here. They are replete in that Ojoo area. Tell you what, when the news broke yesterday, the first thing I heard about it was that there is a problem in Ojoo. I heard that in the university, and when I was in the University of Ibadan, so when I heard it, I thought it was Shasha again. Okay. I said perhaps there is also a problem. It could be a trade dispute and things like that. But we are not we are used to hearing things like that from that part of the town. But when I now saw that it was beyond that, I knew that definitely that there has to be an involvement of the settlers there, especially those among them who are not from this country. So it's something, like I said, the government must sit down and truly analyze, because the state governments are not in charge of solid minerals.
Okay.
And if the state government is not in charge of solid minerals, it means that you cannot be in charge of those who mine these things and so on. But there has to be a collaboration. That collaboration is what we need now. And that collaboration will tell us the role of the state government in this, and the role of the federal government, as well as the role of those non-state actors and those miners who are there, whom I think are the trigger of this, the escalation of this problem.
Okay, speaking about solution, I think one of the elders in that particular area, the Yoruba community leader in Ojoo, Folagbade Aziz, has issued a stern 7-day ultimatum to Hausa settlers in the area, demanding they leave immediately. And according to him, he said, "We do not want those boys here again. We do not feel safe as the place has become dangerous. They have been given 7 days to leave. We want peace, not problems." And some persons are saying this is a threat. It can lead to more problems. Do you agree?
I agree. Of course, it's a threat, because they are threatened also. You know, if you pull a gun from nowhere and react to me with arms, an unarmed man who was stabbed to death, I mean, that's a problem, and that's a threat to the life of the community. So if there's a threat, then the community leaders have to rise and meet action with, you know, action, they say, begets equal reaction, as scientists say it. However, the ultimatum they gave, is it to the government or to the settlers? This is where the government steps in. If the people, look, see the example of what happened in South Africa, but I don't think that the kind of 7 days ultimatum, it's, for me, number one, it's even coming very late, because these people are now ingrained, they are now entrenched into the culture of this place, and they have a lot of support from certain forces in and outside the state. So that ultimatum, yes, it's a threat, and I think the government should take it seriously, because if the people take laws into their hands, then they will have a bigger issue to contend with. It may snowball into some kind of crisis, which would definitely negatively impact on governance in the states, the commerce, life and property, and so on and so forth. So it has something urgent needs to be done, and the people who have given the threat must be invited by the government, and perhaps if there are community leaders among the settlers, bring them together so that discussions can start immediately, and let's see how best to handle this, because it's very, very explosive. Yeah, it's a very, very touchy matter.
Okay, I think the Oyo State government also, gave 7-day ultimatum to remove illegal shanties settlement in Ojoo. And I listened to some of the residents. They also said it doesn't matter whether the government decides to deploy thousands of policemen or soldiers to the environment. It still does not guarantee their safety. So they are calling for total evacuation of these people from that area for now until peace is restored. Can that, end this whole matter?
Well, it now depends on government. If they are envisaging a kind of mobile treatment. I mentioned mobile treatment before. There was a lot of shanties there, and there were blockades and so on and so forth, until government stepped in and moved all those places and removed people from where they are not supposed to be. If that happens in that environment, which is what the community people are claiming, then the government has the duty to restore normalcy, environmental planning, health, and all the necessary things that are supposed to be done. It is the duty of the government to step in immediately and take action. They don't need the people to begin to give ultimata before they do what they are supposed to be. The government has been in that place. Now, the deputy governor was there yesterday. I'm sure he must have reported to his boss, the governor. And it is not the first time reports will be reaching the government about that community, because policemen are there, soldiers are there, civil defense are there, and the people have even said, regardless of the number of these personnel you deploy, nothing is going to change. If that is not a challenge and a threat to the authority of the government, I wonder what is. So the government, everything rests on the table of the government to take urgent steps to make sure that the life and property of people of Oyo State in that place are secure. It's just a simple, straightforward duty of the government. Remove shanties, clear illegal occupants, and make the place habitable.
Do you think the government, can do that in terms of capacity? Because you mentioned some forces that might be stronger than the government.
Well, in terms of capacity, the government can do that. But in terms of political will, I doubt if the government can do that. Because the political will is what you need to exert your capacity. The government has the capacity. How many minutes did it take them to move bulldozers into Mobile when they did that? This is something, by now you should have started hearing reports of earth movers moving into that place, clearing the area. I mean, give people ultimatum, tell them 24 hours, move your things, because these places are not houses anyway. They are, they call them bacha. They are shanties, How did Lagos State Government do, how did it do its own? It moved in this, you see, the government has capacity, but I don't know if the government has political will. And those are two different things. If there is the political will, the capacity will is just knife through butter. But if there is no political will, something will have to hold your capacity back, and that is where we are at the moment.
All right, let's talk about this argument, because observers and residents, some are saying, oh, it was an ethnic clash, while others are saying it was a criminal case. And then I want us to listen to the local government chairman before I turn to you, because I want to get your perspective on this particular matter. Let's take a look at the video.
And it has been reported, and of course you can see the policemen and the military here as well. This has nothing to do with ethnic issue. This is just a matter of somebody committing crime. This is somebody committing crime, and it has been reported, and of course you can see the policemen and the military here. There has been an arrest made, and I'm sure that they will get to the bottom of it. So I want everybody to relax and let the law enforcement agents, let them as well. This is not as not.
Let me turn to you. Do you agree with him? Because he thinks it's not an ethnic clash, while others believe definitely, an ethnic clash happened yesterday. And then according to him, he thinks, it was just a criminal case.
I don't totally agree with him. It's not completely an ethnic clash.
Okay.
It started as a criminal act and snowballed into an ethnic something, because all the videos, all the reports kept mentioning a particular, set of people, and they say we don't want them. And if you don't want something, then that means that there's a schism, there's a division, there is a divide. You have put a wedge between people. Yes, it has criminal elements to what has happened, because if one is not a criminal, how will you begin to, by stabbing or by creating problem for somebody so much that the person will lose his life? So for me, it started as a criminal act, but there's a stereotype already in existence in this country, and people are on the edge with regards to security. Everybody knows that when insecurity is mentioned, when such clashes are the issue, you will understand that a particular people would be mentioned, and these are the people who are domiciled in that place in large quantities. So the chairman perhaps is sounding diplomatic. He's trying to be politically correct by not making it look like it's an ethnic clash. It has ethnic undertones. In fact, it has ethnic foundations. And the criminality in it is just a manifestation of ethnic division that is existing in that place. That said, they have a very, very dangerous issue on their hands. I mean the state government, including the local government and everybody. The stereotype that has been built, the stereotype upon which these things have happened, must be disentangled. And How do they do this? They have to exert a commitment from all the peoples that there will be peaceful coexistence. The way we knew it back in the 70s and 80s when nobody was even thinking about some of those things. Unfortunately too, like I said earlier, that some of these things are rather too late. The miners in these places, those foreign nationals who do the mining business, have been in these communities for decades. So now to just yank them off like that will take part of us with them, and it's going to be a serious injury. So what I think will happen, apart from the fact that they have to find a way, a middle line between ethnic and criminal act, even they have to get the criminals who committed the acts, get them, then look at the ethnic leg of it before you now begin to look at the powerful people who are behind the miners in this country. If government is not careful, this issue will not end as it has ended now.
Okay, how come we cannot tolerate each other even in this country? Because you spoke about xenophobic attacks in South Africa, and then now just asking questions, can you really blame those people if Nigerians cannot even tolerate each other in their own country?
Well, to start with, I also go back to the issue of stereotype. Already there exists some thoughts about certain people from certain parts of this country, and that's because of the criminality that is, on the rise in the country. We have banditry, we have terrorism, we have kidnapping for ransom, you have even people who kidnap and kill their victims after collecting ransoms and so on. Now, tolerating each other is actually not the issue as far as I'm concerned. The issue is, how are you treating your hosts? Because when you visit a place, you have to study the environment and live among the people as the people live themselves. They call it ethnography, ethnographic studies in communication. What you do is you go into a place, you try to be like those people, not be like them because you are changing, but be like them, see things from their own perspective so that you'll understand. But we have a people who will come, isolate themselves from the people, get their own government, lead themselves at the detriment of the community you live in. That is not tolerance. Because the people who are in your community are in your community as parasites, and the parasite rather is being tolerated. So it is very difficult to tolerate a parasite for too long. Even the dog, who cannot reach its own back, finds a way to remove the lice from its body. So that is how I am going to explain this matter. Not because Nigerians are not tolerant, but because the people who have moved into your community have isolated themselves, and you cannot watch them engulf you and take over your property. That's how I look at it. This is not an issue of tolerance. In fact, it is the people who are visiting that should show tolerance and understand what is happening.
The community. Okay, from your response, I think you're saying the relationship should be symbiotic.
It should be symbiotic.
Both parties should
at the
benefit.
very best. I know of a fact that when some people arrive in a place, they will come in ones and in twos, and they will behave themselves. And when they now become large, they will begin to claim certain rights, which are alien to the original people. And that too is a cause of conflict. So communication among all these various groups should come from the point of view of who should tolerate who. That's it.
Okay, have we truly healed from our past? Because it's a big question.
Well, among certain people, yes. Among some, no. And they are all Nigerians. Healing from the past would have been if, let me take the Civil War, the Nigerian Civil War, for instance. The Gowon government declared no victor, no vanquished, and said one Nigeria. everybody is forgiven, old things have passed away, and so on. And then we moved on. So after declaring no victor, no vanquished, they now promulgated a Decree 43 of 1970. Decree 43 of 1970 was like saying, okay, go and take this cup, there is water in it, because you are thirsty. And you get to the cup, you find that there is no water in it. You say, Oga, you said there is water in this cup, but there is no water in it. You say, that's your lot. That's what Decree 43 of 1970 came to do. That decree said all people coming from the old Biafra, the Biafra that was defeated, cannot be reintegrated into the civil service and so on and so forth. So they removed them. In fact, some of the soldiers, policemen and so on were only brought into the system during Obasanjo regime. So all I'm trying to say is that people like that cannot heal easily. When you have shown them that you don't want them to heal, you don't want them to be integrated. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, now that's about the southeast. Come to the southwest. The southwest has no problem with the north, basically. But what I see is that the north, especially some of the criminal elements among them, have continually shown that they do not want to integrate. They want to come here, own the land. Look at Sabo. There are certain things you can't do in Sabo. There are things you can't do in some places in Ojoo because some people are there. So there is no matter of healing from the past here. This is a matter of exerting your own authority and say, look, this is how we do things in this place. If you come to live with us, I mean, when you are in Rome, in the Kegais Club, we say when you are in Rome, you roam about. But in the real sense of it, when you are in Rome, you behave like Romans. So when you come to me, look at me, integrate yourself. If you're not going to integrate yourself, spend a little time and go. So there is no issue of healing here. Some people have remained perpetually unwilling to integrate, and we can't continue to tolerate that.
My last question is on peace now, because I remember after the First World War, Germans lost, and then they suffered a lot. The army was reduced, they paid a lot, and then according to Germans, they said it was a dictated peace, diktat, because of how they were treated after the war. And that was what led to the Second World War. Now I want to ask you, after the whole civil war in Nigeria, the federal government did a lot, or let me say the army at that time, the military at that time, they did a lot to install peace in the nation. I remember they created NYSC so that people can mix with other persons. They created some community schools and a lot more. So do you think that peace that Nigerians enjoyed after the World War was a dictated peace or a true peace?
It was indeed a diktat, because the people were unwilling. So they were conquered. And when you conquer a people, that means a lot. So the diktat is simply what it is. But when you now spread the matter and try to make the man who has the shorter end of the stick not to understand that he has the short. If you hold the longer end of the stick and you make it known to the other people, to your partner or to your opponent, that hey, I have the shorter end of the stick, then there won't be peace, because he will be hurting. It's like football. Banters prolong the pain of defeat. And when you will not end your banters, and when you will not understand that the other people worked really very hard to also prove their own case, then it becomes frictional. It will never be smooth. And that is why I think for a long time it is going to remain like that among the peoples, and it's going to remain like that for a very long time to come.
Okay. What measures do you think the government can put in place to ensure safety? Because according to it, it's a sensitive issue. And then any silly mistake can worsen the situation.
Now, the government has a lot in its hands. And one of the first things I think the government should do is to make sure that 2 or 3 units are brought together to ensure that everything we discuss is done on the basis of truth. If there is no sincerity on the part of those who have the power, it's going to be very, very difficult to convince anybody that the government is showing sincerity. If there is no display of sincerity, if you can't see sincerity, because justice is more important than dictated peace, forced peace. Once you have any inkling, an iota of injustice, then it will grow. Injustice grows through thought and through actions. So that is what I think the government must do. Show justice, let justice be seen to be done, and everything will be settled. That's where I think they have to start. Otherwise, we are going to remain, we will continue to dance in the cycle.
All right, this conversation has been very enlightening. A big thanks to you, Mr. Sam Ojoo, for giving clarity to the issues this morning. I just hope the right persons, we get to watch videos like this so that we can have peace in the nation. And of course, we need to go this morning. Peace is built not only by resolving conflicts, but by preventing them before they begin. A big thanks to Mr. Sam Ojoo, Deputy Editor with the Nigerian Tribune, for giving clarity to the matter. We need to go this morning, but then let's not forget to do the right thing at all times. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.